Now, in this video, we move on to outsourcing images and illustrations, and in particular cover images. We've seen before how we can do it ourselves, either using free software and buying our own images or creating our own images, and we've looked at paid software. But if the idea of coming up with some kind of illustration that makes sense to the children's market is a bit daunting, and I understand that completely. As I've mentioned, kids really do like far more sort of an illustrative feel, and if you I've come back here to the bestsellers in cartoons, and these are very popular books, and if you look at these, high level of illustration and humor involved, as well as good use of color, and this is the kind of work that is delivered by illustrators, really. Illustrators and those who are very good at using programs like Photoshop and or other image editing softwares. But more than that, these are illustrators at work, and very good ones at that. And you think, my goodness, well, it must cost a lot to have these outsourced. And the truth is, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I'll show you in a minute. I'll give you an example. There's one book which I illustrated, or I didn't actually illustrate, I actually outsourced and had illustrated, about a lion. Which I actually wrote the book myself, very short story about Lofi Lion, and I'll just show you the illustration of that. Now the book was well received, and I got this cover done. Let's look at this illustration here. Now this color illustration was done for me. It didn't take very long to do. You can see the amount of work that's gone into this. And I got this done on a site called Fiverr.com. Now many of you will have heard of Fiverr.com, but for those of you who haven't, it is a site which is effectively a portal site for anyone wishing to offer services and do little jobs here. It could be anything. It could be drawing an illustration, it could be singing a little ditty, it could be writing a poem, it could be doing some work on your website or writing a blog entry, something like that. While we're talking about it, we'll move on to it now, and we'll come back. This is it, Fiverr.com. Welcome to Fiverr. So all of these people are offering what these small jobs or services, and they call them gigs, rather like music gigs, will and it's broken down under the graphics design, video animation, online marketing, whatever. There are thousands in here of individuals around the globe offering to do work for you, and this is a key thing, hence the name, for $5. Now the truth is, it starts at $5, and if you want upgrades, you maybe pay another $5. But either way, whichever you look at it, $5 is nothing for the kind of work that is delivered. If I look at way back when I actually commissioned that illustration for my lion book, I think it's this one. It cost $5 for the illustration and a further $5 for the coloration. So $5 to actually, no, it wasn't this one, it was the next one up. Yes, it was this one here. And actually, tell a lie, in my later jobs which I did with this particular illustrator, they charged an extra $5, but this one was done lock, stock and barrel for $5 in totality. And what's more, this illustrator gave me different variations of coloration, so that, a lighter version, a darker version, and different sizes of files. They don't all do that, I'll be honest, and but this particular one was really trying to make a name for herself on this particular platform, Fiverr.com, and $5, what's that, £3 a cup of coffee, I don't know. I would hate to have to do that for myself, but I was extremely pleased with this illustration, and here it was uploaded onto the sales page, and the book has had a lot of wonderful reviews. And here's the thing, the reviews have been excellent, and initially it sold very well, but the one comment which came all the way through people who are reading this book is that they'd like to have seen illustrations, smaller thumbnail illustrations throughout the story, because although it was a wonderful cover illustration, this is the preview, the text didn't have any illustration. I just wrote that was my part of the deal, and put in the Fiverr illustration, and that was it. And to be honest, they're quite right. I mean, I wasn't really thinking clearly about children's market at that point, and anyone, even friends of mine who read it to their children, said yes, but they wanted to see stories just to help them tag along with the story, and they like listening to the parents reading the story or even reading it themselves, but they want to see it. It doesn't have to be a full color illustration. It could be a thumbnail, it could be a sketch, black and white sketch, and Fiverr is a perfect site for those. You can get you maybe pay an extra $5 and pay $10 to get a full illustration done. Maybe, and then possibly $5 per sketch, colored sketch, mini sketch, and they could be sort of thumbnail type sketches which you could dot every 300 or 400 words throughout your text. As I mentioned, 300 words as a sort of a high-end density of images to go throughout children's books. The older they get, then the less sketches, obviously. So I need to do that. I need to go back either to the same illustrator and get some more little mini illustrations done and put them in the book, and that'll help the sales, I know, because that was the only thorn in the side of that particular book. Now, just to give you a bit of choice, $5, impossible to beat that, but of course you do have the other sites which I've mentioned before. There's elance.com, of course. You can log in and you can post a job, or you could look at someone who's willing to do an illustration for that. And there is another one which I haven't mentioned before, and I just mention it, throw it into the mix, odesk.com. Again, it'll be in the resources area. Not just for illustration, you can use this for outsourcing content, for writing text and storyline if you want. Again, I'm not going to go all the way through it because it's the very same system whereby you log in for free, either post a job or search for someone who's offering a job, whichever way, and see if what they're offering matches your price or vice versa. But when it comes to illustrations for children's books, it's very, very hard to beat Fiverr.com. One, for the sheer value, and two, for the sheer quality. And if we go back to Amazon's Kindle and we go back to the cartoon section, I know for a fact, I don't know all of them, but I know for a fact that a lot of these that are here in the top 100, a lot of these illustrations, cover illustrations, were created on Fiverr.com. Not all of them, and I can't swear hand on heart all of them, but I know a good proportion of them were created on Fiverr. And the cover is so important, and immensely more so with children's books, because that's the thing that attracts the attention. The humor, the color, it grabs the kid, and it hopefully grabs the parent as well, because the parent gets a bit of another smile for different reasons. Okay, so I think in many ways it's the ultimate solution is to outsource cover creation to sites like Fiverr.com. All right, now I think we've covered content creation and some of the methodologies, or some of the basics of content creation, either writing yourself and creating images yourself, or outsourcing content and images. We're now going to be moving on to the first of 6 techniques which I'm going to suggest you can adopt for creating your own content that is slightly different from just sitting down and writing a long lengthy story and then trying to come up with an image. It starts with the simplest of them, which is a simple text and image book, and it moves on to slightly more complex and bizarre subjects, all of which are perfectly doable and all of which are very current and cutting edge today, and children love them. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.